Hola, hola! My name is Julian Cruz Diaz, and welcome to Una Preguntita. As a Texas Rican, my life has been anything but traditional. I went from studying engineering to farming in Hawaii to building a career in nonprofits before diving into entrepreneurship. Every twist and turn taught me something new. But let's be real, life doesn't come with a manual. In Una Preguntita, we always begin con una pregunta, a question. So dime, have you ever felt like you're thriving in one area of your life while Googling how to be a functioning adult for the rest of it at 2 a.m.? Yeah, been there too. Every week, you and I are diving into the stuff nobody really teaches us. How to actually understand ourselves, build connections that matter, and handle those awkward conversations that keep us up at night. Whether you're figuring out workplace dynamics or trying to level up your emotional intelligence game, we're getting into it. I'm bringing you big questions, tools, and strategies for you to build the life and career you want. No filtered perfection, just honest conversations and practical ways to grow into your unapologetic self. Grab tu cafecito, get comfy, and let's figure this out together. Esto es Una Preguntita, where curiosity and understanding leads to action. Vamos! We're diving into it, amigui, but as we do every week, we are getting started with this week's preguntita. Drum roll, please. Have you ever caught yourself downplaying your own work? O sea, someone gives you a compliment and instead of saying, "Oh, thank you," you say, "Oh, it was nothing," and you shake it off. Or maybe you're writing an email and rewriting it and rewriting it. And somehow, if you just say things perfectly, then you'll be taken seriously. I don't know about you, but I am most guilty for downplaying my efforts. When somebody asks me about my experience and I begin to ramble and say, well, I done a little bit of this and a little bit of that, when in reality, I have been putting in the work for years. Amigui, why do we do that? Como si we're allergic to our own accomplishments. Actually, better said, owning our accomplishments. We doubt, dismiss, or downplay all the time, but why? And more importantly, how do we stop doing that? Is it because we're afraid of coming across as conceited or a know-it-all? Maybe it's because somewhere along the way, someone made us feel like we needed to be smaller to be likable. Oof, that one. That one hit home for me. Whatever your reason is, it's time we talk about it. De esto es lo que vamos a hablar hoy. This is the topic we're diving into today. That confidence you're searching for, ya lo tienes. You already have it inside of you. It's not about becoming confident. It's about uncovering the layers of doubt and what ifs. Fun fact, confidence comes and goes. It goes up and it goes down, but your competency does not waver because it's tied to your skill. Confidence is tied to your emotions. I'm going to say that again. Confidence is going to go up and down because it's tied to your emotions, but competency, your skill to do things, doesn't waver. It doesn't go up or down because it's tied to the skills you already have. Let me tell you something. In a world that's constantly telling us we need to be more, do more, achieve more, recognizing what you already bring to the table, that's the key. Esa es la clave. So let me tell you about a moment when I caught myself doing exactly this. The other day, I was writing an email, nothing crazy. I was just reaching back out to somebody that had messaged me about work. And I started overthinking every line I was writing. Does this sound too pushy? Should I make it a little softer? Do I even know what I'm answering? Do I even know the answer to their question? I'm not going to lie, I even added a couple thank yous sprinkled in here and there. Of course, strategically placed because I needed the email to sound perfect and not a little too much, right? But as I was thanking them as if I needed to apologize for taking a space, I realized that I was also adding in qualifiers. Those little phrases we stick in I'm just wondering if ... or I was thinking maybe da 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 da. Another one I hear a lot is, if it's not too much trouble, Dios mío, I was practically shrinking myself through the screen. And suddenly, I caught myself. Why was I acting like I had something to prove? I've done the work, I've put in the hours, I know my stuff. But instead of trusting that, my brain was spiraling into, but what if they don't take me seriously? Looking at my draft, I realized I was doing the thing where I was trying to make myself small enough to be digestible, to be palatable, non-threatening. And for what? So somebody wouldn't think I was too much, I was too confident, I was too sure of myself. And that's when it hit me. This isn't about skill. It isn't about whether I'm good enough. It's about whether I'm letting doubt drive the car. I deleted the draft and I started over. This time I wrote it directly, clearly, no extra apologies, no shrinking, just me embracing my inner Chad. In case you don't know who Chad is, here's your explanatory comma, okay? Chad is a character that you could think of as if it is a mediocre white man that just puts themselves out there and somehow ends up getting what they want because they put themselves out there without the fear of being rejected. And they carry themselves with a little bit of subtle entitlement. And you know what? It felt terrifying to write that email with that Chad mentality. And then it felt liberating. Embrace your inner Chad. I'm gonna be honest though. We all have those moments where doubt creeps in and becomes the driver. Or the who do you think you are thought sneaks in. But here's the good news. You can break the cycle. Remember that job that you didn't apply for because you're missing one qualification out of the 10 that you had? Or when you got a promotion and immediately thought they must be desperate instead of, I earned this. We've all been there. Imagine what will happen when you stop getting in your own way. That's what I want all of us to do. Somos demasiado brillantes. We're just too bright to keep playing small. Today, I'm going to show you how to play big. The self-doubt cycle, it's real. But it isn't you. It's a pattern. And we can break patterns. You already know me. I'm coming at you with some bullet points. Pero I have a little treat for you. These bullet points are an acronym for CHAD. CHAD. Oh, yes. You'll be remembering this one. You're welcome, by the way. Okay, let's get started off with C. C stands for call it out. Doubt grows in silence. The more we push it down, the louder it gets. Instead, what if we just called it out? Like next time you hear that little voice saying, are you sure you can do this? Pause and go, there it is. Doubt's doing its thing again. The tiny moment of acknowledgement, it shifts everything. It's like when you're scared of the dark, but then you turn on the light and realize it was just the jacket on the chair. You laugh at yourself and that's it. You move on. Naming your doubt turns on the light. Think about putting doubt in the passenger seat. Look, doubt's going to show up anyway. Let it come along for the ride if it must, but don't let it grab the wheel. I love this analogy porque it's not about eliminating doubt completely. That's not realistic. It's about changing your relationship with it. Think about it as when you're driving and there's somebody in the passenger seat saying constantly, turn left, or go this way, or go that way, when you know exactly where you need to go and the place that they're trying to get you to go is not where you need to go. Would you just blindly follow their directions? Claro que no, right? Of course not. You would say, thanks for the input, but I know where I'm going. Same with doubt. When it bubbles up and it says, you can't do this, right? Or you're not ready. You can respond with, I hear you, but I'm still doing it anyways. The more you practice this, the quieter doubt gets. It's like it realizes, oh, I guess they're not really listening to me anymore, so why should I bother? Try it this week. When doubt shows up, don't fight it or ignore it. Acknowledge it. Say, I see you, doubt. Thanks for your concern, but I got this. And then keep moving. So that was C. Call it out. We're moving into H. Here we go. It is harness clarity. Okay. Pregunta, have you ever gone to the fair and walked into one of those fun houses that's filled with all types of mirrors and obstacles? Well, our brain is kind of like those funhouse mirrors. You think you're seeing yourself clearly, but really, everything's just a little distorted. You have to harness clarity, aka seeing yourself clearly. Especially for us high achievers, we're often our own worst critics. We zoom in on every little flaw while completely missing the bigger picture of how capable we actually are. Let me ask you something. If your best friend accomplished something big, what would you say to them? Would you focus on the one thing that they could have done better? Or would you celebrate all the amazing things they're accomplishing? Exacto. So, why are we so much harder on ourselves? This is why talking it out, writing things down, and even stepping away can change how you see yourself. What I've done is on my calendar, I create a daily, reoccurring item on the top that says completed. And so what I do on that event is I literally bullet the things I have accomplished that day. Yes, even if I haven't finished a task or a project, I still note my progress. When I'm feeling like I'm not doing enough or not progressing enough, I pull open that calendar, those daily completed calendar events, and I'm able to remind myself of what I've already done. Have you ever gone back and read something that you've written or done a couple months in the future and you go, wow, look at me. I actually know what I'm talking about. That's because time gives you perspective. You need the same energy in the moment to see yourself as you actually are, not how your doubt wants you to feel. Try this. Write down 3 things you're really good at. And I mean really good at. Not just okay, not just decent, genuinely skilled in. Now read it out loud. Feel a little uncomfortable? That's normal. We're not used to claiming our expertise, but the more you practice seeing yourself clearly, the more natural it becomes. Okay. So far we've covered C. In our CHAD acronym, we've covered C, call it out, H, harness clarity, and now we're going into A, which is approach challenges head on. I have a question. Have you ever heard the concept anti-fragile or anti-fragility? So my friend Julia sent me a book called The Coddling of the American Mind, and it is super thought-provoking. So let me break down the concept of anti-fragile with you. Some things under pressure, they break. We classify them as fragile. And some things resist pressure, right? We might call them resilient. But some things actually get stronger when challenged. That's anti-fragile. Sabes que your confidence can be anti-fragile, but only if you let yourself face those uncomfortable moments. Let me give you an example from my own life. I'll be transparent here. I had been avoiding starting a podcast because honestly, I was scared. I was using the excuse of I'm supporting myself by not giving myself much more work. I was using the excuse of bandwidth when honestly the root was fear. Once I decided, Julian Cruz Diaz, this is enough. No more letting fear rule. You've got this. You're a great communicator. You can really help others grow. Blah, 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 blah. We're going to do it messy. Let's go. Once I began recording, even though I was scared, I grew stronger. That's anti-fragility. Each challenge doesn't break my confidence. It strengthens it. I'm going to say that again. Each challenge didn't break my confidence. It strengthened it. When we avoid situations that make us nervous or doubtful, we're telling our brains, hey, this is dangerous. But when we step into those moments, sending that email, speaking into the microphone, asking for those raises, we're teaching ourselves, mira, I survived, I'm capable. This is what the authors of The Coddling of the American Mind talk about when they discuss how overprotection can actually harm us. When we shield ourselves from potential discomfort, we rob ourselves of the opportunity to grow stronger. Each time you push through doubt, you don't just maintain your confidence, you build it stronger. Es como un músculo, like a muscle. You have to work at it for it to grow. In case you're interested, if you want to read the book I'm talking about, take a look at the show notes below. I've linked it for you. So this week, I dare you, yes, you, my listener, do something that makes you a little uncomfortable. Apply for that job, pitch that idea, take that class you've been eyeing. The temporary discomfort, it's actually making your confidence anti-fragile. Okay, going back to that acronym, CHAD. So far, we've covered C, call it out, H, harness clarity, and A, approach challenges head on. We are moving into that last letter, D. Decide you're ready. Así, fácil. We act like confidence is something we have to earn. Pero no así, it's not like that. Unfortunately, and make our lives way easier, but we don't collect enough gold stars to say, woo, we're qualified now. It would make adulthood a way more easy, but that's not the reality. Think about it. When have you actually felt fully ready for something big? Honestamente, probably never. Because confidence doesn't come before you start. It comes because you start. I'm going to say that again. Confidence doesn't come before you start. It comes because you start. Everything you've learned, everything you've struggled, overcome, every skill you've honed, it's all in preparation for what you're doing right now. I want you to imagine with me. Imagine that SpongeBob meme where it says, imagination. Okay, so pretend you have a friend named Sonia. Sonia was offered an amazing opportunity to lead a project, but she almost turned it down because she felt like she didn't have enough expertise to do it. Yeah, I know, crazy, right? What if you asked her, list out every relevant thing you've done that would help you in this role? Most likely, Sonia would say, not much. But then once they actually started really thinking about it, the smaller projects they've managed, the courses she's taken, the problems she's solved, the relationships she's built, etc., etc., etc. By the end, she would have this really long list of expertise that absolutely qualify her for the role. The work was already done. She just hadn't decided for herself and given herself credit that she was ready. Are you Sonia? Do you know of a Sonia? Instead of waiting to feel ready, try to act like you already are. Because most likely, 9 times out of 10, you are. You just haven't let yourself believe it yet. Remind yourself, I have been studying for this for years, or I have handled situations like this before, or I know how to figure things out when I don't know the answer. And if you're truly in a situation where you don't have the expertise, remind yourself all of the times that you've learned something new before. You did it then, you can do it now. You know what's funny about confidence? It's not that you don't have doubt. It's that you're willing to act despite having the doubt. I'm going to give you a challenge. Next time doubt sneaks in right before your next big meeting or when you're about to send an important email, write down the 3 things you've done well recently. Big, small, it doesn't matter. Write them down. Then read them out loud. Sounds weird, I know, but trust me, it shifts something inside of you and reminds you, oh yeah, I'm good. I got this. Vamos. All right, amigos. So let's bring it home. We're wrapping this up. We've gone through the 4 letters of Chad. I'm going to give you a quick overview. I'm telling you what I've already told you. C, call it out. Self-doubt sneaks in when you're not looking. The key? I told you in the letter, calling it out. When you name it, you take away the power. You can let it sit in the passenger seat, but don't let it drive. Okay, so that was letter C. Letter H, harness clarity. Your mind is like a funhouse mirror. It distorts how you see yourself. Write things down, talk it out, or step back to gain some perspective. Okay, so that was C, call it out, and H, harness clarity. We then have A, approach challenges head on. Confidence isn't built in your comfort zone. The things that scare you a little, those are the ones that make you stronger. So lean in, take a risk, and remember, growth happens when you push through the discomfort. Lastly, we have letter D. Decide you are ready. You're not waiting to be ready. You already are. Every skill, every experience, every lesson has led you here. Confidence isn't about hoping you're enough. It's about realizing you always have been. All of this comes down to really one simple truth. Confidence isn't about becoming somebody new. It's about recognizing who you already are. So, amigi, I'm putting you in the hot spot here. What's one win you're claiming today? Slide into my DMs. My IG and my LinkedIn accounts are in the show notes below. Tell me, por qué you're claiming your one win today. I want to hear from you. Let's start hyping ourselves up just like we hype up our friends. Remember, next time you find yourself downplaying your achievements or questioning your ability, pause and ask yourself, what would Chad do? You are already capable. You are already knowledgeable. You are already enough. The question is, are you ready to believe it?
Zulian.
Hey, Sully, what'd you learn this week?
Buenísima pregunta, Alan. Pero before I answer it, I have to give you, my listener, a little background. As I formed my podcast, I knew I wanted to include my family's voices in it. At first, it was literally like pulling teeth to get them to just say my name. But now they're asking to have their voices included in it, and I absolutely love it. Before I answer your question, Alan, I just have to share a snippet of your recording because it was just too funny. Here it is. See, it's not that easy talking into a microphone. So, gracias, Alan, for your question. Let me fill you in on what's been running through my brain recently. Currently, I'm reading Hidden Genius, and she wrote this line that had me just shook. The quality of our relationships matter, but the stories we tell ourselves about those relationships matter more. O sea, ¿qué? Like, I had to sit with that for a second. The quality of our relationships matter, but the stories we tell ourselves about those relationships matter more. It got me thinking, how much of my connection with people is about what's actually happening and how much is just the way I interpret them? For example, I've had dinner with a friend, right? And they routinely ask, so what's new? And I fill them in on all the details, all the specifics, right? And then crickets. Nada. No follow-up questions, no curiosity, just like, okay, cool. And then moving on with the conversation, right? Meanwhile, I'm over here trying to figure out, I should ask them questions. Like, I want to make sure they feel heard. Y salgo feeling from those dinners or those conversations like, was that even a conversation? It felt so one-sided. Like, I was showing up for them, but they weren't showing up for me. Then my brain started wandering. What if I were somebody else? What if I were the kind of person who felt connection based on how much I supported others? The same dinner probably would have felt completely different. Instead of feeling unheard, I might have felt and left thinking, wow, I really got to be there for them today. And in that version of the story, the quality of the relationship would have been high, just in a different way. That's when I kept reading a little bit further in the book, and another quote came up, and it read, "Loneliness is perceived social isolation, or the gap between what you want your social relationships to be like and how you perceive them to be." Boom. That's it. Loneliness isn't just feeling alone. It's feeling like there's a disconnect between what you want in your relationships and what you're actually getting or what's actually happening. So now I'm sitting with this, right? And I'm wondering how much of my connection or lack of it is real and how much is just the story I'm telling myself. I'll leave that for your thought of the day. And as always, I'm leaving you with links to resources down below in the show notes. You'll be able to find the link to Hidden Genius. Nos vemos en la próxima, amigui. If you enjoy this podcast just as much as I enjoyed creating it for you, please share it, rate it, and write a review. What did you take away from today? I'm sending you un huge abrazo y nos vemos en la próxima.